So welcome to my cabinet of curiosities. Sheila and I are going to be looking at another drawer today, different drawer, a different drawer, and going through some of the yarns, patterns and samples that we'll find hidden in there. So I'm going to go and choose one. Well, I'm just going to kind of go and grab one.
Okay.
And so I had one from here.
Yeah, you had one last time from row 3, drawer 2. So where are you going to? Where are you going today?
Row 1.
Okay.
This one, drawer 3.
Okay.
Yay! Wow.
I hope that's a good. Is that a good wow?
This is.
Is that a good wow?
Oh yes. Of colour.
That is quite a good wow.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That is. That's a great one.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Goodness me.
That is a good. Oh look, and it's a little photograph of my son, Robbie, in a little indigo sweater.
My goodness me.
This is quite
a box.
Quite a box.
Quite a box. Okay.
So.
Yes. Well,
I'm going to pull out. I was not expecting to see that.
The Shoowa.
The Shoowa.
Yeah. That's quite a recent sample of one of your vintage patterns.
It is.
Because we haven't had this blooming colour for that long, actually.
No,
it's one of our more recent Lalland colours.
No.
So we can judge it. When I say recent, it's probably about about a year and a half to 2 years old.
So this actually was something we revisited from. So I first made the Shoowa in 1991 as a commission for somebody in Brussels.
Yeah,
I was giving an exhibition and workshop, and this lovely gentleman, Fritz, commissioned a new design based on the Kuba cloths of the Congo. And so I made the garment for him over a year. And this is in Intarsia.
Intarsia and Fair Isle.
Fair Isle.
So it's both,
you can see there.
It's both Intarsia and stranded.
And it was just a series of lines and patterns that moved and developed over the garment, and I knitted it in a meditation without planning it or anything. The original was in they were all his chakra colours, so it was bright purple, gold, bright pink. It was quite amazing. Yeah. And
gosh.
And so I knitted the 4 pieces, front, back, sleeves, joined them all together, and all the lines met up. Quite extraordinary. It just shows you how amazing our brains are and what they can do. So that is, it's actually one of my favourite designs in a way.
Oh, it's wonderful. And if you're a colour knitter and you like a wee bit of a challenge, then I can recommend it.
Yeah. Yes, because we have it. We have a knitting kit for it now.
It's quite a knit.
And the jacket.
Yeah.
The jacket is beautiful.
We do it in 2 ways.
That's finer.
We do it in 2 ways.
And just before we say anything, I've just found, I'll just take it off. These are some of my favourite knitting needles. Oh.
Well, you need to put these in a safe place.
2 different ones. There's hardwood. Sorry, I just love hardwood knitting needles. There's Swedish ones here, and these are the Lantern Moon. I don't even know if you can still get them. And you'll notice that I often knit with odd needles because my lovely husband sits on them and ends up breaking one. So, yeah. So I'll just throw that in, favourite needles. Absolutely. And I found 2. Whoopee!
Absolutely.
Sheila.
Gosh, well, which piece of colour knitting are we going to talk about next? Well, one of our favourite and also more recent designs is the Cairngorm. And this, I think, was your very first, you knitted the first sample, didn't you?
I did.
And that's what this is. This is the first sample. Now, there was a colour change after this.
Yes.
But this was you developing the colour idea over a weekend, and then you brought it in and we sat down on the Monday morning and discussed what worked and what didn't work so well. So we ended up taking one of the greens out, keeping everything else, and taking the pattern forward from there. So it's absolutely beautiful. I then went on to knit the two samples, both in two colorways. And this was the sample that was knitted of the ptarmigan colorway, the blues and the greys. Whereas this is the Braemar. I have that right, don't I? Braemar ptarmigan.
The colours of the Cairngorm.
The colours of the Cairngorm. In sort of summer, autumn, and winter.
And just classic Fair Isle, but
classic Fair Isle with
trees, echoes back to about 1850 and the sort of banded Fair Isle, which was really popular there.
Lovely to knit.
Yeah, so that's a really lovely,
really very nice to
really
knit.
nice piece.
Yeah. So great.
This is one of my favourites, actually.
Well, this is the deluxe version. This is the cashmere.
This was the very first version.
The very first version it was of the Coda jacket. Beautiful, beautiful cashmere.
We still have the original jacket.
We're reworking the jacket pattern at the moment. Di, do you want to say how your thought process has developed this pattern? Because it's very special and it has an amazing story.
It does really.
You have a particular reason.
So it's actually a series of codes, sequences of colour and
blocks,
number of stitches to each
stitch count,
colour, and see on the back there. So it was actually designed in my mind for a Scottish woman who worked at Bletchley Park during the war as a code breaker, and obviously people couldn't talk about their time at Bletchley, but I just imagined her taking the train down from Edinburgh to London and having this rather elegant little jacket,
absolutely,
with her codes knitted in, and it tells her story really.
Yes.
So we have the Coda beret and the Coda snood, and the pattern for this I'm just finishing it.
We need to look at sizing and so on.
And we're going to do some other sizes. People absolutely, I did release it initially, and then I've decided I need to add a couple more sizes, but it is an absolute favourite. So if you want to trial it, the Coda snood is really cool.
It's a good place to start because it's a smaller piece.
Yeah.
If you love stranding again, then this is absolutely the place for you.
Yeah, absolutely. But,
yeah.
And one-on-one stranding is a theme because I really love one-on-one Fair Isle stranding.
Well, it's funny you should say that because this is sitting at the front here.
That's from a class that we did.
Yes.
Quite a few years ago now.
So it's very much a one-in-one with the intervening the ridges which divide everything up and then set you off in another different direction.
Adventure, yeah. And those, so I love, and I have done quite a few designs where you have the stranding on the front of the garment. So the songlang's cowl, the edges are, the stranding is the most important section. And then it reverses to the actual Fair Isle, because I think it's a great transition. It shows Fair Isle in a more modern way, in a different way. It's bringing the strands to the front so people can see them.
I tell you what makes people really think in the workshops that we do on this sort of thing is when we suddenly put a reverse stocking stitch in there.
Oh, that's brilliant. And knit one, purl one, knit one, purl one. Two different colours. And that really
makes
people think a lot.
Makes people stop and think.
Yeah.
Because I think people, I feel they sometimes see stranding as almost a speed competition, which is not how we see it at all. How quickly can I get to the end of this round and then start all over again? Whereas we...
That's absolutely right. And it slows people down.
This really slows people down. Yeah. And actually some people don't like being slowed down, but we do just like people to stop and think about and look at
every stitch.
Look at the different effect that you can achieve. So yeah, we have noticed that with some
it's like a meditation, actually, isn't it? Because you're knitting through different colours.
Yeah.
You're knitting through the corrugated rib, the knit one, purl one. You're putting on the external stranding bringing it to the front.
Yes.
So it creates a lovely rhythm.
You've got the front stranding, and then you've got the more traditional one where it's stranded at the back. But it just takes people, it's interesting, isn't it? Yeah. It does take people out of their comfort zone, even people that are really very comfortable with stranded knitting. As soon as you throw a few purl stitches in, it completely changes the game. It's fascinating, absolutely fascinating. Okay,
so
oh, well, no. So this is a memory of a very special time in the south of Spain when we were on a retreat.
I love this. It's lovely, isn't it?
Isn't that right? This is
could frame it.
It's a motif from the Alhambra in Granada. And we all went there, didn't we?
In a group.
In a group, the people who were on the retreat with us. And this was one of the projects that we gave the knitters in that group to do. It was very much a series of colour workshops that we were doing. But the Alhambra is such a special place with all these amazing symbols.
Yeah.
And that just the whole effect. And a lot of the people who were on the retreat have sent us photographs and brought things to show us of what they've done. They've made them into little book bags, they've made them into little shoulder bags, really, really lovely.
And that's the lovely thing on a retreat, because you have this massive pile of colours and people go in there and every single piece that comes out is different. Everybody chooses different colours, and I'm actually
totally individual.
A huge fan of that. I know some people don't like, they set a design and set the colours,
and they don't want people to change them.
But I actually
you're the opposite. You're the opposite of that.
I love people playing. Kind of saying, I get lots of emails, Di, do you think could I put chartreuse in here? Because I really love it. And I'll, sometimes I say, no, I don't think that's a good idea. Generally, I would tend to say, if you love the chartreuse,
Put it in.
If it works with the haar or whatever, put it in. And invariably it works. Because it's about people losing their fear of choosing colour and understanding that they can play. They can actually play.
They can. But it's for some people it's a big step out into the unknown, and it's really not something that they're sure about because they don't trust their own judgment. So I think it's, take it in small steps and knit lots of samples.
Absolutely.
That's what I would say. Just knit lots of samples.
Ta-da!
Oh, well. Gosh. So that was developed also in the south of Spain. We did some of our best work in the south of Spain.
Yeah.
Didn't we? We had such a good time.
Yeah.
That was from our first retreat.
Yeah.
And it was very much looking at the mountains and inspired by.
Well, it's inspired by, because I spent a lot of time in southern Spain. I used to have a farm there, and inspired by the work of Dora Carrington, who's on the fringes of the Bloomsbury group, and she's recently had a retrospective of her work. She painted a lot in southern Spain, in the Sierra Nevada, Alhambra region, and I wanted to get this lovely painterly effect, the same that she uses her brush strokes and how she uses them and changes colour.
And the knitters who came on the retreat really,
they loved it.
Really responded so well.
They did
to that idea. I remember one of the lovely knitters, Joan. Do you remember Joan? Yeah. She sat actually with the book on her knee, as if she was just as if she was just sort of soaking in.
Yeah.
all the different colours, and it was a really wonderful project. And when they were finished, when all these little samples were finished, because people hadn't actually done cabling and Fair Isle in the same row before.
Absolutely, which is what this is. So this totally unique.
This was a very new technique for a lot of people, and we were inviting people to knit with all sorts of different yarns. Some of them had silk in them. Some of them were lamb's wool, lots of lovely yarns and colours. And when they had all finished, we put them
in a big wheel.
With all the different colours. And
it's amazing.
It was one of the loveliest things that you can imagine.
Yeah.
And then you reinvented this.
So
not that long ago.
No, as the Schihalion. Gilet. Because it is an incredible technique, cabling Fair Isle. It moves the colours into whole new places, and just, it's amazing. Of course, it makes quite a complex 3D textured fabric.
Yeah.
So then I had to make the bodice, but then for the upper section, it reverts to simple Fair Isle, so it's not so heavy and thick, but lighter. So it's playing around using the techniques to get shape and form to a garment, and we did a hat in that as well. There is a hat. Yes. We have a cushion we haven't quite got round to making into a pattern yet.
We do love it.
But it is a really
we do love
fabby.
Yeah.
Fabby.
Gosh, this is turning into quite an exploration of all of our work in colour.
So we've got, this is a piece for one of the fashion brands we work for, La Fetiche. And
it's called the Ziggy. So obviously heavily influenced
by Bowie.
Yeah, heavily.
The designer April Crichton loves David Bowie. So this is actually from a vest that he wore. And then I broke down the squares and abstracted them. So it's about kind of breaking down codes and asking questions about shapes, so deregulating the shape and form, which is what Bowie did with music. So it was kind of bringing Bowie's, his musical genius, I think he's a genius, into knit.
Into knit.
Kind of, abstracting the chords and the,
yes,
the playing.
Yeah.
And that became one of their signature pieces for a year.
It did, because it had
6 years ago.
Yeah. Had
6 years ago.
Short row shaping in there, and to give it the tilt,
the diagonals,
to put it on the diagonal. So there's short row shaping here and up at the top.
Yeah.
So that this would sit.
Yeah.
At the angle.
And we did it in reverse too, didn't we?
It was quite
white.
It was quite a one. That one, wasn't it?
I actually loved that.
Yeah.
And then we've got that's one of the samplers for the vest from the Gansey.
Oh, we're transitioning. We're transitioning to yes.
And this is actually 5-ply Gansey wool from Frangipani.
It's the genuine article.
It's the genuine Gansey fibre that you'd knit your Ganseys with.
Yes, on wires.
On wires, double-pointed needles, long.
2.25.
2.25.
Yeah. Really
fine. And you can see the stitch density there. It's a completely different kind of thing, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's based on a Gansey that we found in the Fisheries Museum by one of our favourite knitters, whom we sadly never got to meet. We would have loved to meet her, called Elsie Buchan from the northeast of Scotland. And she was such a good knitter. Every single one of her pieces in the museum is just perfect and different.
Yeah, it's that joining stitch here, the seeding stitch down the middle.
Yes, it's a mock.
Is that her mock cable?
It's a mock cable.
Which is not the mock cable that you...
No, it's not
people
what you would readily understand. It's a mock cable.
That's what makes it so unique and different.
Yeah. So it's over 2 stitches. You slip the first stitch. You knit the second stitch, but before you pass the slipped stitch over, you put your yarn forward. Almost as if you're doing a lace stitch.
Yeah.
But of course it isn't. But it ends up as a quirkily angled little 2-stitch cable.
Yeah.
And it's really lovely.
You only find that she's the only one.
She is the only one
that we've found who does this particular
She's
technique.
the only one. So slip your first stitch, knit the second, and before you pass your slipped stitch over, bring your yarn forward to make another loop. So you still end up with 2 stitches. But as I say, it gives
brilliant,
a really interesting effect.
And actually, I've got a little film of you doing that.
Have you?
Yeah.
It is one of my favourites because it's always wonderful when you come across something and you know it comes from a particular hand.
And you only ever see it.
And it was her signature.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
All exciting. Very exciting.
That is pretty.
Very exciting.
Pretty amazing, actually.
Yeah. Well, we could go back to colour. This is another favourite of ours. This is Freddie Fair Isle. Isn't that wonderful? Very modern.
Yeah.
Very modern take on Fair Isle, which we've done quite a few of these for April Crichton's company, La Fetiche. And
using neon.
It was the first time we'd put neon into Fair Isle, but we really, really do like it. Lots of modern influences in in the stranding.
And what people don't realise is that when we knit for, design for, collaborate with fashion designers, we often have to find the right yarn for them that's authentic and real and have it dyed. So we've worked with quite a few indie dyers.
Yes. You're very good at finding people like that.
Who will, you know, we can give them a brief, specific colour, and they will make it. And then it's lovely because you're involving other artisans, other makers, drawing them into the creative web. And so they've then been involved in making with you for a collection. And I personally really like doing that. It's really nice. So all the neons here were dyed by somebody for us. And of course, we have to then match the weights of yarns and the feel. And that was
the same thing, wasn't it?
It was from that collection, probably. Yeah.
So we've just finished doing some of these now in our merino, in the Scottish merino, transposing, as I've said before, transposing things into bellwether. This is just a lovely wee lace and cable, very traditional. I was thinking just the other day, when I was knitting as a much, much younger person than I am now, all the big hand knitting companies, and this is before the days even of Rowan. This is when we were back
Peytons
and Serdar. Basically.
Yes.
There were very often patterns for cardigans or jumpers that just had this lovely sort of motif going up the centre of the sleeve or by the button bands. I have photographs of me and my sister. My aunt the aunt who taught me to knit, she used to knit for us when we were little girls. And they would have had these sorts of motifs, going up the sides of our cardies and up the centre of our sleeves. Takes you back a few decades, but there
really
we are.
Nice.
Yeah,
really
lovely.
It
is lovely. It is lovely. Yeah, very nice. Very nice.
Well, that was quite an adventure, Sheila.
Indeed, it was. Yeah. Do you want just to have a wee word about this one? I mean, we have talked about it before.
Oh, that's where it went.
That's where it went.
So that was the Sanquhar, the sample. We showed you the cross in
yes, you might have
another
seen
episode.
The raised cross in another episode of the Cabinet of Curiosities. But
so I was trying to get a modern Sanquhar look. Very chunkier,
much chunkier.
And so I putting in a third colour, which you don't normally get, as an Intarsia piece within the Sanquhar. And it was a huge piece that we made in the end, all based on the traditional squares. And one of the patterns is a traditional pattern, but then really effective to put in a sudden blaze of colour into the classic navy and cream or black and cream. And again, I mean, I think that's one of the principles that I've worked with all along is that hand knit is so special. And what the last thing you want is for it to be machine knitted, taken away and somebody machine knit it. You want it only to be hand knittable. Because machine knit's a different skill and fibre and texture, everything is different about it. And the wonderful thing about Intarsia, actually, to do Intarsia on a machine, it actually takes as long as hand knitting it. Incredibly.
Yes. Well, I mean,
I'm very skilled, incredibly skilled.
Because you're constantly changing.
You have to change colour all the time.
On every row. Every row.
Putting in the Intarsia is such a great skill to have. Of course, you can over embroider as well, which we do. But for this particularly, popping in the Intarsia was the right thing to do because it all needed to be knitted, didn't it?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. So I was going from a stranded section to an Intarsia section, and then as I worked my way up to this big piece. Mm-hmm. But it's lovely to use both, and I'm not sure I did them both on the same row, but it's one of my favorite. One of my favourite things. Certainly takes my head into a different place.
Yeah.
Doing this sort of thing. But, yeah.
Well, I hope you've really enjoyed this box of colour, this draw of colour, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And I hope that we've shared some of our love for it.
Stripes as well.
Well, we do love stripes.
So this is actually,
we absolutely do love stripes
for La Fetiche, isn't it? And
it's a Breton.
It's stripe. A Breton stripe.
Yeah, they're very fond of their Breton stripes.
And we are really fond of Breton stripe. Mm-hmm. So that's why that's in here. And yeah, incredible box of colour, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah.
So
well, who knows what we'll find next
in the next one.
In the next time.
So
anyway,
we really hope you'll join us.
Yeah.
Again. Because how many boxes are there?
Look forward to seeing you.
4, 6,
I was just thinking for some of the ones up on the top. Neither of us is very tall. We're going to have to acquire a small step ladder to get up there. That's going to be fun, isn't it? Because it's not going to be me. I don't do off the ground stuff. It's going to have to be you.
I think it's going to have to be me.
It's going to have to be you. But see you next time.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.